Hello, how's it going? Shanaro here, CEO of Cortex Solutions. We're going to be talking about advanced persistent threats, and we've talked about this for some time now, so let's kind of dive more into it. We all know that an APT is one of the most dangerous and sophisticated types of cyber attack because, well, you're targeting organizations. You know a little bit more than what a script kiddie would know. You know how to, exploit 0 days. You know how to craft your own malware, right? And a lot of times, these attacks are carried out by different state-sponsored groups, by cyber criminals and organizations, and then malicious actors with clear goals. It's all about espionage and data theft at that point. Right? So being able to understand what an APT is and what it does, and well, this is what, right? It refers to being able to have sophisticated techniques and tools. I talked about it before, being able to craft your own type of malware and adapting in real time actual security measures or countermeasures and bypass it, right? So that means like being locked out of a port being shut down, but that doesn't stop you. You know how to kind of get around that. That's being persistent and remaining undetected, as in an APT can sit in your network for 3 to 6 months at a time and you don't really know. And then being able to target actual threats. So APTs are going to focus on certain entities such as governments, organizations, more so on the private side, and also critical infrastructure as well too. So the characteristics, as we talked about, just know that hey, if a group meets this type of characteristics, they are all about how can they go about disrupting of some kind. And then the life cycle around an APT attack. So we talked about planning before, using OSINT and scans to get a better understanding of, well, that network or individual or computer, whatever the case is. And then initial access, gaining initial access, first and foremost, using the information that was gathered and then exploiting that. And then establishing that foothold first. Then you want to run these tools, and then you want to use rats, and then you want to use interpreter and everything like that. It's going to allow you to kind of dive a little bit more in depth, gain a better foothold, do some lateral movements, and we'll talk about that as well. Now, you can take these stolen credentials through like credential stuffing or however the way the APT or the threat actor went and got this information, and then move across different systems, exploiting all the vulnerabilities in the same system because, well, they exist, especially if you're going off that same build and being able to extract that data and then cover up your steps by deleting logs and doing all kinds of things to mask your behavior. These are just some of the characteristics though. And we'll dive more in depth as in like, well, I talked about polymorph before. This is malware that can change its makeup to avoid detection. Well, that's exactly what APT29 did. And then using the aspect of stealth and persistence and advanced encryption standards to encrypt that traffic from the actual malware, that bot, to the command and control as well too. Because of course they know how to utilize encryption, absolutely. And then stacking on attacks. What I mean by that is you can start with the eternal blue and turn into something actually like malware or ransomware, I would say. Or utilizing a DDoS attack and that turning into initial access. So it can really depend. And here's some of the groups: ABT28, 41, Lazarus group. And then you have like what their activities were, whether it's going to be spear phishing or watering hole attacks, and we'll talk more about that as well too. Or being able to utilize espionage and ransomware to really go for, well, the gold in a sense, that's customer data. Now, some of the defensive strategies to help mitigate it are going to be, of course, threat intel, like we talked about, utilizing that, advanced threat detection as well to add on to it, EDR, right, because we want to be able to actually see what's happening and then respond to it, segmenting the networks, of course, and then behavior analytics, understanding what users are doing, being able to spot unusual patterns that an APT may have. They can, I would say, pause an update, start an update. They can mess within the registry. So there's a lot of things, a lot of telltale signs you want to look into as well. So an example of this, think about detecting a 0-day vulnerability. So you can use your tools such as Nessus, your Insight as well, and you can scan these systems for unknown vulnerabilities, right? And then you can monitor the network for any type of anomalies that have been happening that it can actually indicate a 0-day exploit, as in some traffic patterns that may be a little bit suspicious. And then being able to use your ADSs and your advanced persistent threat type of tools is going to allow you to detect this malware. Using AMP, tools, right? Advanced malware protection, even just the use of being able to scan and understand, oh wow, this file tried to access this. Why is that? Tried to change the permissions of said file. And then deploying patching as well too, because you want to be able to create these different barriers around these systems. And then the other aspect of it is what vulnerability management is going to really do for you is going to give you some prioritization. What criticals do we have versus what lows do we have? Right? What highs that we can take care of right now versus mediums or lows? So it gives us a way of detecting zero-day vulnerabilities, because all a zero-day is just a vulnerability that has not been really fully exposed, I would say, but at least executed on, right? Or has the potential to, because it's a vulnerability. Again, it's been great. Gennaro, CEO of Cortex Solutions, and we just talked about how to utilize the APTs and their use case around what they do and how they go about doing so much and causing a lot of damage to these organizations and these systems. All right, it's been great. Brought to you by ACSMI. I hope you have a great one. Take care.